Hi guys, this is Jimmy,
And Eva,
and our project is on the effectiveness of developmental math from the student perspective.
did you know that 30.9% of four-year college students and about 55% of two-year college students have enrolled in at least one remedial developmental course during the duration of their college tenure? There is a high number of students that enroll in developmental courses, and this is associated with greater costs. Some of these costs are monetarily, but other costs include the extra amount of time and effort that's required to complete these courses, which do not count towards college credit. We look specifically at research that address the many factors that play into whether a student is successful in a developmental math course, which leads us to our research question. Our research question is, what are the factors from a student's perspective that contribute to course completion and success in a developmental math course and sequence?
Okay, so on to our literature review. First, we have to define what developmental math is. The developmental math course is a bridge course in between secondary mathematics and college level mathematics. It is a course that is intended to address the gaps and holes um, that are left from secondary education and that are necessary to be filled in order to be ready for college level courses. An interesting topic on our literature review was the successfulness of developmental math courses. Success was defined differently depending on the researcher and the study in question. In some cases, it was just measured as being able to pass the developmental math course. Some studies measured passing the next sequential course. Others still transferring to a four-year university, and some measurements included finishing with a degree. And many different obstacles were also listed for the students who participate in developmental math courses, one of which was time, the fact that they do not receive credit towards graduation for completing their developmental math courses, so they accrues longer time period to complete their degree, as well as increased costs in paying for the courses themselves. Other issues and obstacles included race, gender, ethnicity, first year college student, first year generation college student, among other issues. Okay, so the methods for our research project. It was intended to address the research project for our 6100 Research and Methods course. We polled 30 students in a Math 980 course at Salt Lake Community College. Each student was given the opportunity to participate or not to participate in the study. As far as our positionality, we are both mathematics instructors. Ava is the instructor for the Math 980 course at Salt Lake Community College, and I am a secondary mathematics instructor. So we both are invested in creating environments and practices and students so that they can be successful in higher education. Okay, data collection. As we said earlier, the students are given a choice whether to participate or not. If they do participate, then they are given a bump of extra credit as part of their participation score. The students are informed of the dual purpose of the study. It serves as both a means to completing a research project for a graduate course and also to give essential mid-course feedback to the instructor on how the course is going. It was administered through Google Forms in an online format.
Okay, so here are some of the findings that we discovered. As we analyzed our data, some themes started to emerge. Some of the perceived non-issues that students had about whether or not these things help them be successful in their course were recency. And what we mean by that is how long it had been since they'd taken their last math class, the pace at which the class took the content or the things that were covered in the class, personal demographics such as age, race, ethnicity, gender, and the online environment. Again, all of these things were perceived as non-issues. They felt as though that this didn't hinder them in any of their success, and in fact, they even pointed towards the online environment being helpful for them. As far as the perceived issues, Jenny's going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so the perceived issues were time, and that was one that came out in our literature review as well. In our survey, we concluded that approximately 60 hours are spent between employment and schoolwork, and that does not even include the time that is spent attending classes themselves. The other two big perceived issues were background knowledge. Just students did not feel like they came into the course with knowing they did not feel good about what they came into the course knowing and not knowing. And thirdly, having a fixed mindset where they did not have much belief in themselves or in their mathematics capabilities. So things such as small errors would become bigger setbacks than they really were. Another interesting thing that was not necessarily an obstacle to their success in the course, but was interesting was that not every student polled understood the ramifications of a developmental math course. They did not understand that it was not necessarily labeled as a college level course, or that it did not give them credit towards graduation. In conclusion, we did not have a strong amount of participation in our survey, and even so, we had 10 out of 30 students, so by no means could we generalize our results to any kind of broader population. The most prevalent perceived issues are the amount of time students have and the amount of time necessary to devote to their understanding, a belief of insufficient background knowledge, and fixed mindsets in mathematics.
So going forward from here, we feel like further studies on developing a student's growth mindset for both young adults and adults would be beneficial. And also research on activating schema and background knowledge could also be very helpful for students taking developmental math courses. And that is it. Thank you.
Thanks.